Richard, how's it going?
It is going well. How's everything going?
Super awesome. I've loved all the songs that you've put out. So as soon as I was able to get a hold of you to set this up, I was super thrilled. I was jumping on my bed. You're not supposed to do that, nice. But at least I'm here.
I appreciate the excitement.
I'm going to start this off by saying one of the first things is that song, Tonight is the Night, has been used a lot. And I mean, I like it. I'm in Ottawa here now, but anytime I go downtown and I'm having a good time and that song's either on, or I will put it on my iPod and hit shuffle and hope that it comes on.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very thankful for that song, and yeah, thank you.
So the first question I have is, of course, what was life growing up in Yonkers in New York?
Yonkers is right outside of New York City, so I kind of got the New York City experience growing up. You know, we would take the train down to the city and go to concerts and start performing in the city, and this was always around, you know, New York, but you know, still had a chance to kind of live a little bit of that suburban lifestyle. Yeah, so still friends with a lot of friends that I grew up with. Well, we all kind of grew up in the same neighborhood, so it was a really fun experience.
So you're pretty much a hometown boy, stayed close with your hometown, I guess, fans and friends?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I live in LA now, but yes, always, New Yorker, always.
So do you know, when you go back to New York, do they bring you back down to a pedestal? Do they start yelling at you in the streets as if to say, like...
Oh, yeah, we don't even... No, I mean, I'll still talk to all my friends, and they just know me as Rich. You know? I can't pull any rank on them.
They keep you humble.
For sure, absolutely. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Now, at the age of 9, you were given a guitar by your father. It didn't really spark your interest in guitar. Some people pick up a guitar and just keep strumming along and do success that way. Ed Sheeran comes to mind. But it did spark your interest in becoming a musician. Explain that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I would play guitar and, you know, basic guitar ideas, but I just always wanted to sing and be a front man, and I was always writing a lot of stuff, writing a lot of lyrics and words and ideas, and always singing songs to myself. So I think it just kind of became apparent that naturally I was just going to become a songwriter.
Some people like to be the songwriter behind the scenes, but a lot of the ones that you see now becoming successful are the songwriters for their own songs. I know when I grew up in the 90s, I guess a few of the more popular songs, I would go back now and say, I'm sure they wrote that. And then you find out that, no, they didn't write it. And I was thinking, like, how?
Yeah, I think now, too. I mean, I would say 90% of pop music is written by a group of people, writers and producers. All incredibly talented people. For me, it's always been, I guess, a thing of pride to write my own stuff. You know, I don't judge anybody else who does whether it's co-written or not. It's just, you know, my vibe is to write my own stuff.
No, I mean, that's definitely admirable. At the age of 10, I've read there, too, that you began kind of rapping. That's kind of young to rap. What were you rapping about?
I don't even know. I just was putting words together and rapping, trying to sound cool. One of the first albums I ever really got into was a Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory. So off the bat, they were huge inspirations for me as a young kid. I just kind of wanted to be like them. You know, they looked like they were having so much fun, and it was just fun and funky and cool. And so, you know, I tried. It's definitely a process, and you gotta put in the practice, but you know, you had to start somewhere.
I'm guessing A Tribe Called Quest was one of your musical influences. Who else kind of influenced you along the way?
So much, really. I mean, on the hip hop side, obviously Tribe, and then, you know, Kanye and Jay-Z were always huge inspirations to me. You know, the huge pop artists like Justin Timberlake and Pharrell, I always loved, you know, so much. To, you know, classic stuff like Stevie Wonder and the Beatles. I grew up on that stuff, so, you know, it was always a goal to try and write, you know, amazing songs in that kind of frame. It kind of hope that one day you can write a song that longevity that you can listen to 30 years later. I mean, it's still a goal. It's hard, but so much stuff. I'm definitely a musical chameleon. I listen to everything, so I think it kind of bleeds through sometimes.
Yeah, I was just about to say it kind of shows in your music, because when we were doing a bit of research here, some websites called you a hip-hop artist, some called you a rapper, some called you soul funk, and I was thinking, like, I can see that. Certain songs fit in a certain realm. Your friends call you Richie. I've been calling you Richie Richard, but at the same time,
that's cool.
Where did the name Outasight come from?
Outasight, and it's funny, I was just had to come up with a rap name, and my first rap name was actually Outsight, which was Outasight without the A. And that was like my first rap name, and it wasn't really that great because anytime I would tell people my rap name, they would be like, "Outside? What?" So I kind of just metamorphosized into out of sight. You know, it was a cool phrase that they used a lot during the '70s. I was definitely in a lot of soul and funk music. Yeah, so out of sight just kind of happened. At the time, it was like, you know, there's so many records from the '70s, especially with James Brown, Stevie Wonder. You know, where they're using out of sight, you know, so it just it was just a cool phrase, so I kind of just went with it.
You began performing at small venues and eventually released your first EP, Employee of the Year. Then you released Radio New York and got more traction. When do you think you got your biggest breakthrough?
Realistically, I guess my biggest breakthrough was on Tonight is the Night. I mean, before that, it was all kind of just building slowly, but surely. And after I put out Further, I signed to Warner Brothers. I was on Warner Brothers for a couple of years, and you know, putting out music and trying to just build fans. And then Tonight is the Night happened, and that was a big song. And so I guess that would probably be the breakthrough for me.
It kind of fits into the next question here, because in 2009, of course, you joined Warner Bros. Record. 2011, you released Tonight is the Night. Performed, like I said, at the WWE used it. You performed it at the NHL All-Star Game, which was in Ottawa.
In Ottawa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice tie-in.
Yeah, man.
How happy are you with the success of that song? And I guess a follow-up question also would be, do you feel like it's a kind of a stigma on you that, do you think that's like the only song people know you for, or?
I think at one point, but then, I mean, after, you know, I put out my second album called Big Trouble, and we had two successful songs on it called The Wildlife and The Boogie that did a lot, and we're in a lot of movies and just all over. And so, you know, I kind of felt the pressure making the second album for sure. I didn't, you know, think about it too much, but I mean, I think it was definitely a point where I kind of had to figure out, am I going to be able to keep doing this? Is this, you know, what's next? And then I put out The Wildlife, and The Wildlife did really well, and then The Boogie came out after that, and then the album kind of just, you know, did beyond expectations, really. Did
you have a particular song that you kind of wanted to be the song off the album, and the record told you, or the label told you, no, let's go this way?
Yeah, I think at the time, back then, I mean, it was a while ago, but I mean, the second single was Now or Never, which did, you know, pretty great. And I was thinking about it being a different song called Perfect Words at the time, but I think everything just kind of happens for a reason. And it just kind of schooled me to the game and how I wanted to continue on my career, and then just, you know, realize, all right, putting out records independently, I think, would be more my style, just because I don't want to say I'm controlling, but I like having my hand, you know, being involved in everything, especially the creative process. So I think it all kind of just taught me the ways of the music industry, and I was like, all right, you know what? I think me doing it with myself and my small team would be better.
No, I can definitely relate to that one. I mean, I like doing this podcast, and there are times that I thought to myself, like, if I was doing this for a company, would I have this much free range? Would I get to choose which guests are on, which questions to ask? Because, I mean, right now I'm the one sending out the emails. I'm the one editing it, so I know how it sounds on what I like, and hopefully people like it. But if I had someone kind of dictating me or telling me, I mean, sure, you're learning a lot, but the same point is, it comes to a point that you're thinking, like, is this really what I want out of it? Is it the same kind of exposure, the same thing that I would be listening to?
Right.
Now, in April of this year, you released I Got You, and that you had a third album coming out called Album Richie, which was released last month. You teamed up with Hoodie Allen on this album. How cool was it to work with Hoodie?
It was awesome, man. It was a super honor. Honestly, Hoodie and I have always been cool. He started coming to LA to work on his album, and we linked up and just became homies, and we were kind of working on our albums around the same time. Yeah, I mean, I just remember playing Feel Good for him, and he was like, I want to get on this. So I went and booked the studio, and I got him in there. I was super, super excited to have him on there, obviously. He's a big artist, and he just put out a single today called Ain't Ready, which I helped him work on. Yeah, man, we're just homies, so it was super fun.
Yeah, because it kind of seems like both of your styles could really clash in an interesting way, and you always see on YouTube comments or stuff like, why don't these two artists mix it up? And when I seen that earlier today, that you worked with Hoodie Allen, I was thinking like, yeah, I could see that. They're pretty similar in style.
Totally.
Speaking of the album, was there any kind of style change, or was it the same kind of style you've been putting out for the first two? Like, did you try to experiment and then decide, no, let's keep it the same? Or is there new stuff on this album that maybe we haven't heard before?
I think it's actually a pretty nice mixture of... the first album was definitely very pop-oriented. The second album was obviously always pop, but was way more funky, a lot of horns. So this third album is a pretty good mixture of like funky, a lot of great horns, and also some just pop songs as well. So it's I feel like a nice blend of everything going forward, but also kind of what's going on now, current. So some cool drops and some trap hi-hats, things people like listening to right now. So it's always like taking what you kind of done, getting better at it, and then, adding in some new flavors for sure.
And do you find it hard to do that? Because, I mean, you kind of want to keep your own style, but you also want to keep what's current. And, some people might like the fact that you stay your own style and don't go with what's current. So, how do you distinguish between the both to try to make both sides happy?
I just kind of let it come natural, really. I don't find it too challenging. We just kind of work on it, and then, it's either we love it or we don't, and if we love it, we go with it, I luckily have the ability and the freedom to do that, so I just kind of go, I just kind of create. I work a lot. I'm in the studio a lot, and eventually we find stuff that we love, and then I just like, this is it, and we hammer it home and work on it until we feel like we got it to a place where we can release it.
It seems like the mentality there is, you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it to kind of please you, something that you'd find interesting. Because, I mean, once you start to worry about what other people think of the music, then you're not going to please everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we make friendly music. At the end of the day, it's pop music at the end of the day. So, I mean, we're not, I think people will dig it. It's just a matter of also loving it yourself, for sure.
The way I look at it is, as long as it's catchy, it has a good beat, people will definitely tune in. Because, I mean, I remember hearing a while ago that the way we remember alphabets and stuff like that, or alphabet or our numbers and stuff, is through music. And most times, if the beat is fine or good, you'll continue to listen to it.
For sure.
And the other thing I want to ask, how do you define your music? Because I mentioned earlier that some people call you a hip-hop artist, a rapper, soul funk. How would you define yourself?
I would just say it's pop music. It's pop, hip-hop, funk, soul. It's a blend for sure. I think now more than ever the lines are blurring. We're in the age of streaming music, where first off, the album is a format that is kind of changing. Not as many people are putting out albums, but when they do, people like to show all their kind of skills off. I know Macklemore put out an album today. I mean, he's got, it's like all of us. There's some hip hop songs, there's some pop songs, there's some songs that lean more rock and roll. I think it's all just becoming a blend, a hodgepodge of music that we all grew up listening to, and that is going on right now, and just finding the balance between it all. But I think at the end of the day, it's really just pop music.
I mean, there's nothing ever wrong with pop music. The last question I have here for you is, what kind of TV shows did you like growing up?
That's a good question. TV growing up. Well, I definitely was raised on watching MTV, you know what I mean? Coming home and watching TRL was something I definitely did. You know, watching 120 Minutes on Sunday night and Yo MTV Brass. So I definitely was a big MTV guy. And so I think that really probably helped me and a lot of other musicians formulate their dreams of wanting to be on that station. So I thought it was actually pretty cool that they're bringing back TRL. Not always super amped on, you know, revisiting these kind of things. Sometimes it's just kind of like, all right, I get it. You know, they can do it with all these movies now. But I think the TRL thing actually would be pretty cool. Always good to give artists a platform. And so, yeah, that. And then, you know, as far as everything else, I mean, I loved The Simpsons growing up. I loved Martin. And sports. I was always a big sports fan. Baseball, basketball, football.
What can we expect out of Outasight in 2018?
Oh, man. Well, so much exciting stuff happening. I have a few songs from the album that are going to be featured in some movies that are coming out. I can't really announce it yet, but it's exciting for us to keep going. We'll shoot some music videos, and we'll just keep going, keep working to try and get as many people to hear the music as possible. And in the meanwhile, I'm still in the studio working always, and obviously I'll do some touring as well. So, you know, just hustling.
That's going to do it for this episode of Tobin Tonight. Our thanks to Outasight for coming on the show. Remember, you can find past, present, and future episodes on TobinTonight.com, Spotify, and iTunes. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and leave a comment or two. For Tobin and myself, this is Jacob saying, thanks for listening, and good night.